H-Town! Good day. First Take coming to you live from NRG Stadium, site of tonight's college football playoff national championship game between number 1 Michigan and number 2 Washington at 7:30 Eastern right here on ESPN. So you know we needed to bring in the big guns for that one. The Hall of Famer with the number 1 sports podcast, the one and only my guy, Shannon Sharpe.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you.
And of course, Stephen A. Smith.
What's up? What up, baby? What up, baby?
Guys.
I'm great.
Shannon,
great.
Happy
Molly.
New Year.
Happy New Year
Happy
to you.
New Year.
First time seeing you in the new year?
Yeah. Are we ready for this?
We ready?
Ready.
I got a surprise for you later.
A
I got a surprise for Molly. I got a surprise for Molly.
Okay, that makes me nervous.
I got a surprise for Molly later. I got a
we'll
gift.
see what that
I
is.
found a perfect gift for you. I'll talk about it later.
By the way, guys, Saturday in the NFL, the playoffs start, and there's going to be a game right here when C.J. Stroud and the Texans host Joe Flacco and the Browns. So that's where we start. The game of the weekend, though, that was Josh Allen and the Bills in Miami taking on the Dolphins with the AFC East on the line. Allen had 3 turnovers, but it was 2 as interception with just over a minute left in the game that sealed the deal for Buffalo. The AFC wildcard matchups are set. This weekend opens with the Browns and Texans. As I just mentioned, the Browns have 1 playoff win since the 1995 season. The Dolphins have to travel to freezing Kansas City for a Saturday night game, and Buffalo will host Pittsburgh on Sunday at 1 Eastern. Stephen A., should the Bills feel good about the win?
I don't think so. I mean, listen, they should be happy from the standpoint that they won the game and they won the division.
Right.
But I'm just talking about in terms of their performance. When you look at Josh Allen, 2 interceptions, and the strip sack where he got stripped for the ball, there were just too many mistakes. Those are the kind of mistakes that's going to cost you come postseason time. I know how great he is in clutch time. He completed all 5 of his passes in that fourth quarter game-winning drive, no doubt about that. Major props to him for that. Miami didn't have Mostert, okay? Jalen Waddle went out, okay? So because of that, along with the plethora of injuries they had on the defensive side of the ball, we got to look at the Buffalo Bills from the standpoint that this defense has really resurrected this season after a 6-6 start in the first 12 games. They've been rolling ever since. But I'm looking at the turnovers. You're not going to come out of the AFC, Shannon, if you're turning the football over. And that was my issue with the Buffalo Bills. Not about the points that they scored or didn't score or anything like that. Not about the fact that they needed that 95-yard punt return by Hayden in order to really put them ahead. It's the fact that Allen turned over the ball. He keeps doing that. Can't do that if you expect them to win a Super Bowl championship.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. They should feel good because they went on the road against a division opponent with all the chips on the line. We win this game, we're in the playoffs with the possibility of losing this game and missing the playoffs. But they won the ball game, and they should feel good because Josh Allen had 2 horrible interceptions in which he turned the ball over in your end zone, and he took points off the board. Now you're right, and he had a strip sack. But when you go on the road and you can win a game in a hostile environment against a division opponent, because the division opponent is a little tougher, Stephen A., because you've seen this team already this year. You see this team twice a year for eternity. You know what they're going to do. They know what you're going to do with the exception of a few wrinkles here and there. But for them to go on the road, they won what? 6 or 7, 5 straight.
That's right.
They have to feel good. But you're right. Come playoff time, you play double for turnovers. Right. And Josh Allen turns the ball over too much for me to wrap my arm around this team. That first interception was so egregious. Where the hell are you throwing the ball?
Makes no sense.
You take points off the board. And so for me, I still believe that you have to feel good because you went on the road and you won a game against a division opponent.
Well, let's keep in mind that Miami is 1-5 against winning teams this year.
Yes.
Let's keep in mind that for the first time all year, they punted the ball on 4 consecutive possessions in the second half. This is what Miami does when they're going to, which is why I said coming into the game, you know what, I damn near hope they lose because I'm sick and tired of them wetting the bed every time they go up against stiff competition when we've got expectations for them and they don't live up to it. Yesterday was the latest example, although a plethora of injuries contributed to that. But in the end, I'm looking for Josh Allen to protect the football. That's what it's going to come down to if they're going to win a Super Bowl.
Well, here's the thing. Josh Allen didn't need to protect the football when you're going to get Tua playing as bad as he played and turning the football over as well. Ever since he made that statement, I kept receipts, he hadn't played well. I mean, he only had under 200 yards throwing the football and a bad interception. So let me ask you this, Stephen A. With your division season on the line, you're going to try to throw the ball to Chase Claypool? So that's what you're going to do.
But you got to remember, Waddle is out, and Tyreek took himself out because he had landed wrong, and he hurt himself, and he was out for that last possession. So you got to throw it to somebody.
I ain't throwing it to him.
What are you going to throw it to?
Where is he? I throw it out of bounds. That's basically what you're doing. Because, hold on, they're playing what we call cover 5 here, which is 22 man. Guys playing underneath, and look at the safety. The safety. Before he threw the ball, and Tua likes to throw the ball with great anticipation. Look at the safety. The safety's already gone. He beat Chase Claypool to the route because he already knew where Tua was going to go with the football. Right. The Miami Dolphins had some issue, and they wonder, well, nobody's giving us credit because every time you step up in competition, you lose. And so the only team that they won in a calendar year was the Dallas Cowboys. And that's not good enough for me. Now, it's going to be 2 degrees. It's supposed to be 2 degrees in Kansas City.
No hope. No hope. I'm not giving Miami any hope in that weather because they're going on the road. Right. They're going against a decent team. And to me, the only shot Miami has is for Patrick Mahomes' receivers to drop the football, which is obviously plausible considering what we've seen this season. But that's the only chance.
Well, they were dropping the ball in 75, 80-degree weather. What the hell you think going to happen in 2-degree weather?
I feel you on that. But against Miami might give them a multitude of chances.
The Chiefs' defense has been outstanding. They will need to be outstanding again, maybe give the offense a short field. Patrick Mahomes has not looked like the Patrick Mahomes that we were used to seeing. Right. For the first time since he's become a starter, Patrick Mahomes, that is, the Chiefs are not the favorite to come out of the AFC. Right. We know what they normally represent, especially come playoff time, Molly. But when you look at this team,
you would take the Chiefs in that one.
I'm going to take the Chiefs for the simple fact the Dolphins hadn't only beat one team that has a winning record. They're on the road, and Tua hasn't played well the last couple of games. So that's the reason that I'm taking.
We saw, though, one thing that we have to hold on to, if you hope, if anything, from Miami, is that even though they lost the game, they went into Buffalo last year in a damn blizzard practically and lost the game, but it was a 34-31 loss.
To the pros, the NFL playoffs are set. What a good time in sports. And we got some intriguing matchups for the wild card. Tyreek Hill will return to KC as the Dolphins take on his former team where the projected weather is supposed to feel like 0 degrees. Okay, changes for Miami. Then another return and what some might call the Dan Orlovsky Bowl. Matthew Stafford. Dio, I know you hear me. Matthew Stafford will return to Detroit. All right, he called this one. I'll give you that, Dan. You are quite the prognosticator. Where he played for 12 seasons as his Rams take on Jared Goff in the Lions. Here's the full schedule for next weekend's wild card round. I cannot wait. So we got 3 AFC games Saturday and Sunday in addition to the Chiefs-Dolphins game. The Browns will play the Texans. How about Joe Flacco? And the Steelers will take on the Bills. The Sunday NFC games feature Mike McCarthy's Cowboys hosting the Packers, and the Eagles and Bucks cap things off Monday on ESPN and ABC. Okay, Shannon, which one's more intriguing in terms of returns? Is it Tyreek Hill back in Kansas City for a little barbecue, or the Dan Orlovsky Bowl where we have Stafford in Detroit?
I think it's Stafford for the simple fact the number 1 overall draft pick. He turned that franchise. Well, not really. Didn't get him to the playoff only once, but how well he played. And think about it. He went away and won a title. He's coming back. Jared Goff has played well, but I think the thing for me is Matthew Stafford. Although Tyreek had put up monster numbers, Kansas City won a Super Bowl without him. Patrick Mahomes won an MVP without him. So Detroit said, bro, we don't miss you. We can get to the Super Bowl without you because we're going to do something that you couldn't do here, which is win a playoff game without you.
I completely disagree with you. I don't think anybody's thinking much about Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions. We know it was football purgatory. We knew that he was the only asset that they had, and they literally did him a favor. This guy was there for 12 years, was obviously a stud. It's one of the rare occurrences you've ever seen where you have a quarterback that hadn't won a playoff game, and everybody and their mother knew it wasn't because of him. They knew it was because of the franchise. They knew it was because of everything but him. And so when you lost him and you moved him away to Los Angeles, you were basically giving him a reprieve from what he was exposed to, recognizing that you had a long way to go and he didn't deserve to be a part of a reclamation project. That's entirely different with Tyreek Hill. This is a brother that starred in Kansas City for 6 years. He was lights out, just like they won a Super Bowl without him. They also won one with him. Let's not forget that, okay? He departs from Kansas City. Why? Because with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, okay, knowing that you need an elite wide receiver to go along with that elite tight end that you had, they still didn't want to pay him. He departs for South Beach and has back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons. And really, for the first time, I know they played in the regular season, even though that game was in Germany. Really, in a playoff game, back at Arrowhead Stadium, where he starred for years, where he waved goodbye to one opponent after another. You get to go up against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that defense, I'm sorry, this is the better story. Make no mistake about it.
I mean, where's this game played between the Rams and the Lions? In Detroit, right?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But they're going to be happy to see Stafford.
What about Megatron?
What about
You
him?
make it seem like he ain't have nothing.
Oh, no, Megatron was all.
Okay, then. So you got to win a playoff game with Megatron.
When you looked at the Detroit Lions, Shannon Sharpe, did you ever sit up there and look at them and say Matthew Stafford was the reason they were struggling? It wasn't because of him.
They did. He played. And listen, I understand about they call him Matthew Padford because he padded his stats a lot.
Okay.
With no wins, no division titles, no playoff wins to go with that. Clearly, going to the Rams was the best thing that could happen. I agree with you. For them giving him that opportunity because they could have said, hell no. The same thing with the Chiefs. They had Tyreek under contract for another year. They could have said, no, we're going to keep you
But
here.
Detroit wasn't doing anything. Tyreek Hill and them were championship contenders.
He wanted money.
Of course, and they didn't want to pay him.
No.
So with Matthew Stafford, there was nothing like that going on.
No.
So that's the difference.
The Rams reached out. The Rams like, you know what?
We trying to win a Super Bowl.
I think we
need this quarterback.
Yes. And to go back. So now Detroit gets an opportunity to say, you know what? We're about to do something because Kansas City's already proven they can win without Tyreek. Their Lions are going to say, you know what? We're going to do something today that we couldn't do with you for 12 years, and that's win a playoff.
Well, the brother been gone for a couple of years. I mean, and listen, you know, Jared Goff's got something to prove. So if you're talking about Jared Goff versus, you know, Matthew Stafford, that perhaps is a bit more compelling. But everybody knows that it was football purgatory in Detroit for years. In Kansas City, you are a championship contender, and you said, Tyreek Hill, we ain't paying you.
Right.
And this brother gets to come back to go against them people that said, we don't want to pay for you. Going up, and by the way, opposite side of the field, where you got receivers who, if one of them was half of what Tyreek Hill was, Kansas City would have been in a better position this year.
If they'd have had D-Hop, the way he played for the Tennessee Titans.
No question.
If they'd have had D-Hop, they're the number one seed.
Okay, exactly.
Number one seed.
Exactly.
Number one seed.
That's what I'm talking about. Tyreek going back, and he holds grudges. Let's call it what it is. Tyreek Hill's holding a grudge. He can't wait to go up against them.
But guess what? What about Tua? You know, it's real warm in Hawaii.
That's true.
It don't get that cold in Alabama.
There we go.
How does Miami historically does in cold weather? It's gonna be really cold in Kansas. I don't know if you've been to Kansas City in January.
No.
I have. It's cold.
It's going to be a little culture shock.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm talking about sunrise with an overcoat on cold.